In our village, we had a saying, the river takes what it wants and keeps what it loves. But the night Adaeze walked out of the water 3 days after we buried her, we realized the river had given something back. The question was, why? The village of Ufuro sat at the bend of a black river that had no name. The elder said it had no name because names give power, and that river already had too much. It flooded when it was angry. It stilled when it was grieving. And sometimes, on nights when the moon hid her face, it hummed. Not like water hums. Like something inside the water was remembering a song. For generations, the people of Ufuro had known how to speak to the river. Not with words, with drums. Every harvest, every birth, every burial, the drummers would gather at the bank and play until the water answered, a gentle swell, a shimmer of light beneath the surface, a sign that the ancestors had heard. But that was before Chief Obiora decided the drumming was old, primitive, an embarrassment to a village that now traded with merchants from the coast. "We are not children," he declared one dry season, his robes heavy with imported silk. "We do not need to beat logs to speak to dead men." He silenced the drums. And the river went very, very still. That same year, the rains came wrong. Too much, too fast, in a single terrible night. The river swelled beyond its banks and swallowed the lower village hold, huts, granaries, livestock, memories. The people scrambled to higher ground, screaming, reaching for each other in the dark. It was Adaeze who went back. She was 19. The blacksmith's daughter. Not the strongest, not the bravest by anyone's measure, but her younger brother was still down there, and she did not think. She ran. She found him. She pushed him onto a floating roof beam and held it steady until 2 men pulled him to safety. And then the river took her. They searched for 3 days. On the 3rd evening, they buried an empty grave, because that is what you do when the river keeps the body. You bury the name. You let the person go. The drumming for her death? There was none. The chief had forbidden it. On the morning of the 4th day, a fisherman found her standing at the river's edge. She was dry. Her wrapper was dry, her skin was dry, her hair was dry, and she was standing completely still, facing the water, like she was listening to something only she could hear. When the fisherman called her name, she turned slowly. Her eyes were the same. Her face was the same. But when she smiled, it was a half-beat too slow, like someone who had learned smiling from a description rather than a feeling. "I am home," she said. And the river behind her hummed. The village split in two. Half believed she was Adaeze, the Adaeze, miraculously alive, saved by God or luck or the strength of her own will. The other half whispered. They watched the way she never ate at mealtimes but was never hungry. The way she could stand in the rain without blinking. The way she sometimes stopped mid-sentence and tilted her head, listening to something no one else could hear. Her mother held her and wept and said she was her daughter. Her father said nothing and sharpened his tools. Her brother, the one she had saved, refused to look at her. Only the oldest woman in the village, a blind elder named Mama Neka, was unafraid. She hobbled to where Adaeze sat alone by the river each evening and sat beside her. "You hear it, don't you?" said Mama Neka. It was not a question. Adaeze was quiet for a long moment. "The drum," she finally said. "Under the water. It has been playing for 100 years and no one has answered." Mama Neka closed her sightless eyes. "We stopped answering," she said. "And the river stopped forgiving." Adaeze stood up. She walked through the village in the blue hour before dawn, past sleeping huts and cold cooking fires, until she found them, the drums. Locked in the chief's storehouse. Covered in dust. Skins cracked from neglect. She did not break the lock. She simply put her hand on the door and the lock fell open. She carried the largest drum to the river's edge alone. Sat before the black water. And began to play. She had never been a drummer. But her hands knew the rhythm, because she had spent 3 days underwater listening to it. The sound that came out was ancient. Heavy. It rolled across the water and into the forest and up through the roots of every tree and down through the bones of every sleeping person in Uforo. One by one, they woke up. One by one, they came to the river. The chief came last, still wrapped in his sleeping cloth, his face twisted with anger, and then confusion, and then something that cracked him open completely. Because the river was answering. A deep silver light was rising from beneath the black water. The humming grew louder, became layered, became voices, not frightening voices, but familiar ones. Grandmothers. Old fishermen. Children taken too soon. The ancestors. They had been waiting. Adaeze played until the sun rose. When she finally stopped, the river was calm in a way it had not been in years, not the eerie stillness of anger, but the peaceful stillness of something finally heard. She set down the drum and turned to face the village. "They are not gone," she said. "They never left. They were just waiting for us to remember how to speak." The chief, for the first time in his reign, went down on one knee. She stayed in Uforo. She ate eventually, not much, but enough. She laughed more easily as the seasons turned. And slowly, the half-beat delay in her smile disappeared. Mostly. On nights when the moon hides her face and the river hums, the villagers say Adaeze still goes alone to the water's edge. Not to play. Just to listen. And whatever the river tells her, she keeps to herself. Some things that come back from the deep, the elders say, belong to two worlds at once. And perhaps that is exactly what Uforo needed. A girl who could speak to both. And from that night on, the drums of Uforo never fell silent again. Tell me in the comments, do you think Adaeze was truly the same girl who went into the river? Or did something else come back wearing her face? Subscribe and stay close, the next story is even darker.